Hey guys, this is Kevin with Lifestyle Overland coming to you with a quick look at one of our favorite features on one of our favorite mapping applications, and that is Gaia GPS. We've been getting a lot of questions from people asking, how do you come up with these routes? Where do you find these trails? Where do you find public land to go and play on and explore? And where do you find these epic camps? Well, Gaia GPS has been our primary source for adventure planning, tracking, and sharing. So today we're going to dive into the layers portion of the premium subscription plan. Now Gaia offers 3 different levels. They offer a free plan, a membership plan, and then the premium plan. We're recommending you just skip right to the premium because it is incredible how many different map sources and how many different overlays that you get with the subscription service. So today we're going to walk you through just a real quick overview of what's available, what our favorite layers are, and how to work with them. So let's jump right into this. All right, well, we're going to begin here in the browser interface. This is where we do most of our planning for our adventures. And you're going to go over here to this layers button, open this up, and you're going to see some of our favorite layers. We'll get into this here in just a second. But just as an example, you can see that by using this slider here, we can adjust the transparency of each layer and create our own custom combination of maps. Now, if you've just signed up for the premium service, you may not have anything over in this left-hand side. So we're going to open up the Add Map Layers selection here. And you're going to see we have United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, satellite imagery, topo maps, road maps, feature and weather overlays, hunting overlays, nautical and aviation, and then custom imports, which we'll get into later. So under the United States, we have 21 different map layers, everything from historic, topographical, National Park Service visitor maps. These are the maps that you would find at the entry to any national park. So it's nice to have that to overlay sometimes. They've been adding Nat Geo maps like crazy. So if you're a big hiker, you've got the Appalachian Trail, Colorado Trail, the John Muir Trail, loads and loads of premium information. These would cost you anywhere from $14 to $20 a pop buying them at REI or a camping store. So if you're looking for a reason to subscribe to the premium, right there it is, especially with this Nat Geo's Trails Illustrated. These are very well done map sources, and we're really excited to see them as part of what they're offering here. The Native American and Alaska Native lands is a new layer, and we're really excited to see this one added in as well. It's really going to help us, especially here in the Southwest. Now, anytime you want to get more information on a particular layer, just click on it and you'll have a full description, a zoom range, and then, if applicable, an actual legend so you can get some more information on what's found within the map itself. For you Canadians, here's some of the maps that are available. The ones that we used when we were traveling to Tuktoyaktuk and over to Alaska was the Backroad Mapbooks Canada. This is just an exceptional map for Canada. We found it very helpful when determining where Crown land was located, campgrounds, things like that. So highly recommend this one for our Canadian friends. And again, just more of the map legend here. They've added a ton more layers to this particular selection since we first started using the Canadian map. So you'll find that with Gaia GPS, they are constantly scouring the earth for other map sources to build into this. So generally speaking, your subscription is getting more valuable with every day that passes. For Europe, we're looking at maps for Austria, Finland, Luxembourg, France, Spain, Sweden, and the UK. Now, here's a little bit of a secret most people don't pick up on. There are maps that are worldwide. So if you go to GaiaGPS.com/maps, you can sort this list for maps in your area. So no matter where you are in the world, you can benefit from this application utilizing some of these maps shown here. The Australia and New Zealand map sources are still coming along. We've had more and more Australians reach out to us asking about what's available in their areas, and here's an answer for you. Probably not as extensive as HEMA maps right now, but they're continuing to add more and more, and you might find that having the map planning options is going to offset lack of availability. Probably one of the more popular imagery sets is going to be this satellite imagery. You know, as well as I do, sometimes trails, while they appear on a map, may not actually exist in real life, so having a satellite to be able to take a look at what's actually on the dirt is very important. Just keep in mind that these are going to be a higher download size whenever you do decide to pull that information for your offline travel. Next up is Topo Maps, and I have to say the new Gaia Topo is absolutely phenomenal. There is a ton of information in a very small file size, so you can literally download an entire state without taking up much space on your device. And then under Road Maps, we've got a selection here that you can download. We find that the Gaia Streets layer has been really helpful for determining paved routes to link up to some of our other adventures. And then one of the more interesting options is the feature and weather overlays. We have everything here from air quality, cell phone coverage, motor vehicle usage maps, native land territories, precipitation forecasts, private land, public land, even snow forecasts. And then finally, some of the most handy overlays has been the wildfire, both current and historical. So you know if you're heading into a burn area or an active forest fire, just keep in mind you're going to want to connect a signal ever so often just to keep this current. If you are a hunter, there are 255 various layers for wildlife management areas that are going to be organized by state. So if you're a hunter, you might be impressed with some of the options that you're going to find within this particular category. For nautical and aviation, we've got various charts. We've had a lot of drone users say that these have come in extremely handy as well, so something else to keep in mind. And finally, custom imports. And yes, you're going to see Google Satellite and Google Street. This is a bit of a hack, so yeah, we'll cover that a little bit later on. Now, as promised, let's show you some of our favorite layers. Now, without question, the Gaia Topo option is our absolute favorite. Again, I said this is a very small file, so you can pull a lot of information for a very large area without taking up a ton of space on your device. Now, the next overlay that we use has been extremely handy, especially this time of year when all the wildfires are active. Again, it's going to be necessary for you to tie in the signal from time to time, this particular layer updated. But as you can see, here's the fire just north of Grand Junction right now. That's where a lot of the smoke came from during our filming of the High Country Trail. And then we have this one over here near Glenwood Springs, which started literally days after we passed through. Now, if you were opening this layer in a mobile device, you'd be able to click on it and get more information about the particular fire, whether or not it's active, and what its size currently is. Next up is the most handy overlay in all of Gaia for overland travel, and that is the motor vehicle usage map. This overlays information found in the United States Forestry Service MVUMs. These are the paper maps that you pick up at the ranger station, and they actually put it right on top of the map, which makes it extremely nice for ensuring that you're traveling on legal routes. Now, I'll caveat that by saying make sure you download the PDF from the United States Forestry Service just to have on hand if there is a discrepancy between what's found here. To date, I've not found anything that would leave me any concern that it's not matching up, but again, travel at your own risk and make sure that you carry the most official piece of travel information. Alright, up next is the public land layer. This layer right here is pure gold when it comes to finding public lands to go and explore and camp on. This covers everything from BLM land, Forestry Service land, monument land, national forest, and things like Department of Defense, which obviously you're not going to go exploring on. So this one is always a part of our downloads. The one that we've recently added to our lineup is the Native American lands. So this is just going to help us to determine where pueblos and reservations are located. We recently found that with the situation with COVID that a lot of the pueblos in New Mexico have been shutting their gates. Unfortunately, that's also blocking access to forestry roads, like in this instance right here. So we're trying to add that to our list of things to be aware of as we're planning our routes. And finally, satellite layers. Now this is available in just a basic satellite imagery, or you can actually do it with satellite including labels, which is actually really handy if you're wanting to see a bit of a information overlay for trails or points of interest. All right, those are the primary layers that we work with, but here's some bonus layers that we've been playing with. So self-coverage, you can do it by provider. So in our case, we use Verizon, and this is going to give us an idea if we needed cell service, where we can go and camp to get a bit of 4G or LTE. And then, as mentioned earlier, this is actually the historical wildfire. So if you want to stay out of burn areas, you can actually come in here and determine what areas have been burned, how recently they've been burned, and that might help you determine where you would like to camp, especially if you're looking for some shade. And then these layers, I probably shouldn't even tell you about, but the historic topos can make quite the interesting overlay because there's a lot of information found on these old maps that are not available today. So if you're a history buff like me, these are really fun to play with if they do cover the area that you're traveling through, because you never know what you might find. And last but certainly not least, the Nat Geo's Trails Illustrated layer. This layer is absolutely loaded with all kinds of information, whether it's hiking trails, driving trails, campgrounds, and so much more. Again, these are the same maps that you can find in hard copy at REI or online at Amazon.com. Now you're also going to have overlay control for your waypoints, so you can turn those off and on if it does get a little bit too busy. You can turn your labels off and on just for a quicker reference as to what that particular waypoint is talking about. And then we can turn our routes off and on and tracks off and on just to get a clearer picture of what we're working on. Same thing goes for areas. Public tracks, which is a pretty good layer for having put on top for a bit of ideas, save trails, and then you can also adjust grid overlay if you'd like to get a little bit more technical with the map layout. All right, guys, well, that wraps up this video. Hope you found it informative. Hope you've learned more about what's available through the Gaia GPS premium subscription plan. Hope you've learned how to use layers to your advantage so that you can help better plan your next adventure. If you like this video, as always, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in following our adventures or learning more about how to plan your own. And if you're ready to take the plunge on signing up for Gaia GPS, make sure you go to GaiaGPS.com/lifestyleoverland, where you can get up to 50% off. And by the way, when you sign up through that link, you actually help support this channel. So we highly recommend that. Thank you for joining us on this little walkthrough, and we will see you on the next one. Until then, safe travels.